Hello and welcome to the channel. As always, like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fan fiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
The Leaf Ninja stayed in Suna for a little bit while Minama, Kushina, and Kakashi got their wounds patched up and to stay for Kankuro's and Chiyo's funeral. Temari had probably been the most affected after all, for that one day she had thought she had lost both her brothers, and technically she had. Gaara wasn't in any better shape. He blamed himself for Kankuro's death, but he also blamed the Akatsuki, and by the time the Leaf Ni left they could feel his dark aura coming from Gaara, not so different from the aura he had during the Chunin exams. So the girls are part of the Akatsuki, Minato said after the group gave their report, not letting even the slightest of emotion show. Hi, Kushina said. And the one tail has been extracted. Minato said. Hi, Kushina said. I see you can have the rest of the day off. Minato said to the group. But Toussaint, what are we going to do about Mito and the other girls? Naruko asked in a panic. I'll deal with it, you are excused. Minato said. Now Minato didn't normally drink, but that night he only saw the bottom of the bottle. Keeping the girls on the down low would be harder than even now. It seemed his life was a never-ending tale of sorrow. His family had been cut in half, with Mito part of the Akatsuki and Naruto and S-Class Nin doing who knows what. Minato just didn't know what to do. Should he focus on getting Naruto? Should focus on getting the girls? Should he focus on making Minama and Naruko stronger? Who knew? The problems didn't stop there. Minato had to tell Itachi and Hayashi about Hanabi and Hitomi. While Itachi took it as well as Minato had expected him to, Hayashi had given Minato all his thought on what should be done about his daughter in a voice that may have well been yelling for the Hyuga clan. At least they were all able to agree on something, and that was to not put any of the girls in a bingo book. After all, no one wanted the Byakugan and the Sharingan to be hunted down. What a day this was turning out to be. Two Kumo Jounin were standing guard in front of a large cave where Yujido trained. It was a pretty boring job since nothing ever happened. That was until today. They noticed a figure wearing a black cloak with red clouds on it and a straw hat walking towards them. Who are you and what is your business here? The Jounin asked. The figure didn't respond and continued to move closer. The two Jounin took out kunais and were prepared to fight the intruder. I'll ask again, what are you doing here? The Jounin said. The figure still didn't respond. If you won't answer my question, then I'll have no choice. The Jounin was cut off as the figure suddenly lunged at them, going for walking speed to faster than most people could see in an instant. The figure grabbed both of their faces and killed them. They fell to the ground, blood dripping from their eyes, noses and mouths. It was a practically gruesome sight. Damn, what did you do to them? Haydn said, walking up to the bodies and admiring his partner's handiwork. I just reversed their blood flow. Naruto said, taking off his hat. Human bodies can't handle that, so it causes most of their organs to explode, most notably the heart. So you can kill people just by touching them? Haydn asked with more than a little interest. I can, Naruto said. I realized that even though my defense is near impenetrable, my offensive was lacking. You call being able to create cyclones, shooting pebbles at high speeds, and that stupid ball of yours lacking? Haydn said. Yes, I do. Now come on, we've got a jinchuriki to bag. Naruto said, walking into the cave. It's not like we're in a rush. I mean, come on, this place is on the outskirts of the village. It's almost like they want us to attack their jinchuriki. Haydn said, following Naruto with his hands behind his head. Most people don't like a jinchuriki living inside the village, so she is probably forced to live out here. Naruto said. So they're all going to be this boring? Haydn said. Then how about I make it a little more interesting for you, a female voice said. Then 4 claws shot through Haydn's body, piercing his heart. Naruto looked back to see that their target had somehow snuck up behind them. She was smiling, obvious proud of herself for killing one of the invaders, or so she thought. You should really be more careful, Naruto said to Hayden. Hey, you shut up! Hayden yelled, swing his scythe behind him, almost cutting off Yujito's head. Luckily she dodged just in time, pulling her claws out of Hayden's body, earning a grunt and a very vocal compliant form. The man. Hayden, be careful, we can't kill her, Naruto said, but didn't show too much concern. But that fucking hurt, Hayden yelled in protest. While Naruto and Hayden were having their little spat, Yujito was on the verge of panic. She had stabbed that guy through the heart and nothing. Not to mention that these two were having an argument right in front of her. They weren't even trying. They were that confident. Well, she would just have to show them that she wasn't to be underestimated. If Shiden couldn't kill the first one, then she'd just have to take care of the other one. She ran up behind Naruto and swung her claws at his neck, but right when they hit him they broke. Yujito looked at the stubs that used to be her claws in shock. Both her attacks that should have killed them didn't even affect them, and worse than that, it looked like she had gotten Naruto's attention. Hayden, I believe we've been rather rude. Our guest has gotten impatient, Naruto said, turning around to face Yujito. Fine, we'll deal with this first, Hayden said. Now that Yujito could see their faces, she knew she was in trouble. She recognized them as the S-class Nins, Naruto and Hayden. Yujito didn't know why those two were working together, but it hardly mattered, she needed to get help. Yujito turned around and sprinted to the exit. Oh no you don't, Naruto said, hitting the side of the cave. Yujito didn't know how he did it, but he caused a cave-in, but just at the entrance to the cave and nowhere else. There goes your exit, so why not just give up? It will save us some trouble, Hayden said mockingly. Aren't you guys cocky? Yujito said, looking for a way out of this predicament. Well, when our target tries to run away before we've even started fight, I think we're allowed to, Naruto said, reaching into his pockets. Yujito didn't take the time to find out what he was going to pull out as she threw 2 smoke bombs at them. Then jumped up to the roof of the cave using chakra to stick to it, like a cat, and crawling above them. The smoke blocked her view of the 2 ninja, but she could see something being shot out of the smoke. They looked like pebbles, but Yujito quickly dismissed the thought. What ninja would use pebbles as a weapon? Yujito made it to a wide open room that she used for training. There wasn't a way out from here, but at least it gave her more space to fight, and she knew it like the back of her hand. It only took a couple seconds for Naruto and Hayden to make their way into the room, and when they did, Yujito unloaded on them, kunais, shurikens, knives, spears, everything. Yujito thought that even an immortal would be ripped to shears after that attack, so it came as a huge surprise when more than half the weapons she had thrown came right back at her. Yujito dropped to her stomach, letting all the weapons fly over her. When she got back to her feet, she saw that Hayden was pulling out some of the weapons that had hit, but Naruto didn't have a scratch on him. You fucking bitch, that hurt, Hayden yelled, ripping a kunai from his arm. I'll let you handle this. She's your target, Naruto said, walking off to the side, shocking Yujito. Fine by me. You just get in my way, Hayden said. Yujito might have been surprised by Naruto's action, but she was glad. Now she would only have to fight one of these freaks. At least until Naruto decided he wanted to intervene, but now wasn't the time to think about that. Yujito shoot a fireball at Hayden, starting the fight. Hayden jumped over it, throwing his scythe at Yujito. Yujito noticed that the scythe was attached to a cable and realized that Hayden would be able to control it even if he wasn't holding it. Taking this into account, she blocked it with her claws, the ones that hadn't been broken by Naruto, instead of dodging, but it didn't prove to be as helpful as Yujito wanted to be. Hayden rushed her with a spear. Yujito couldn't move because she was still blocking the scythe, so she brought her foot up and extended the claws on her toes to block the spear. It worked, but Yujito was now severely off balance, something that Hayden took advantage of. He swept her leg out from under her, causing her to fall. This also had the added consequence of the scythe and the spear being able to attack her while she was on the ground. Yujito rolled out of the way, but she felt the scythe cut her back. She got back to her feet and put some distance between her and Haydn, but Haydn wasn't going after her. Instead, he was looking at the blood on his scythe and smiling. Then he started drawing some seal on the ground. Haydn, remember, you can't kill her, Naruto said. Relax, I'm not going to kill her, Haydn said as he finished his seal. Yujito didn't like what she was hearing. If Naruto was telling Haydn not to kill her, then that seal must have the power to do so. If that was the case, then she would have to keep him from activating it. It was time to show this too why jinchurikis are so feared. Haydn and Naruto watched as Yujito started leaking demonic churka until it completely engulfed her, just leaving the two tails in her place. That was quick. Naruto commented before the cat brought its massive paw down on Haydn. Haydn, knowing that this would just inflict damage on the jinchuriki, stayed where he was. Naruto, however, didn't have the same idea. He shot off from his current position and tackled Haydn out of his seal. Hey, what the hell? Haydn said, getting to his feet. You idiot, if that attack would have landed, you would have been crushed, Naruto said. So I would have survived, what's the big deal? Haydn said. You might have survived, but I doubt our target would have been able to, Naruto said, staring down the two tails. Oh, that's right, Haydn said sheepishly. Whatever, just recreate your seal while I keep this beast distracted, and this time make sure not to kill her, Naruto said. I thought you said you weren't going to help, Haydn said. That was only because I forgot how much of an idiot you were, Naruto said. Haydn looked a little offended by Naruto's comment, but he backed off to go make his seal. Now it's just you and me, fuzzball, Naruto said. The two-tail, apparently not liking being referred to as a fuzzball, tried to swat Naruto with one of its tails. Naruto just sighed. When would they learn? No matter how hard you hit or how fast you are, you can't get past his reflection. The tail hit Naruto and of course was reflected. Since the tail was just chakra, it didn't break, but it was sent back and slammed into the cave wall. The two tails, not sure what had happened, tried again, but it ended in the same result, and this happened again and again until the two tails let out a scream of pain. Naruto could see that Haydn had completed his seal and now had his spear sticking out of his gut. Apparently the pain was too great for Yujito to handle as the demonic chakra receded, leaving Yujito screaming in agony. Make it stop, Yujito yelled, falling to her stomach. Haydn did not. He stabbed himself over and over again until Yujito couldn't take it anymore and passed out. Too easy, Haydn said. The two tails has been captured, Naruto said as Haydn made his way to Yujito and flung her over his shoulder. Let's get out of here. They walked back to the entrance of the cave where boulders were still covering it, but one touch from Naruto fixed that problem. But outside the cave was another problem. Someone was there. He had white hair and dark skin. He also had the characters for water and lightning tattooed to his shoulders. So you are the people who attacked Yujito, Naruto, Namikaze and Haydn, the man said, not looking too happy with them. Only sending one person? Kumo sure is getting cocky, Naruto said. Don't worry, more will be arriving soon. I was just sent her to investigate. The name's Darui, by the way. Haydn, get out of here. We don't want Kumo to retake what's ours, Naruto said. Haydn reluctantly agreed and stated, walking off. I'm not just going to let you walk out of here, Darui said. Then you'll have to go through me, Naruto said, stepping in front of Haydn. Let's see what you've got. If you insist, Black Panther, Darui yelled, sending a wave of black lightning at Naruto. Well shit, this is actually a problem, Naruto said, dodging out of the way. The reason Darui's lightning was a problem was because Naruto's couldn't reflect it. The reason he could reflect it was because he had never encountered it before. Naruto's reflection worked like an index. He would find out the equation for an attack and then add it to his reflection so that attack would always be reflect. But if someone used an attack that Naruto had never seen before, then it wasn't in his index and couldn't be reflected. But there were a number of ways around this problem. One was to have a test run of the attack, for example when Orochimaru had subjected Naruto to demonic chakra until he found out the equation for it, which was the reason the Ujido's demoic chakra wasn't a problem. The second way was to have prior knowledge of an attack, for example, the first Hokages would release while Naruto never encountered, and doubted he ever would. He was pretty confident his reflection would work on it since he had done research into it. Of course Naruto would never know for sure unless he encountered it. The third option is what he would have to do now, figure it out on the spot. Naruto started repelling the ground beneath him, so he was slightly hovering. "Let's see what you've got," Naruto said. Darui started shooting his black lightning and kunais at Naruto. Naruto, now not affected by the friction of the ground, dodged all of the attacks. It looked like he was skating on ice. Naruto wasn't just dodging, however. He was thinking. Over the years he had devolved a pretty good way to discover the equation of an attack. First he would pull the equation of the attack that was most closely related to the attack he was trying to find from his index. This one was easy, lightning release. Then it was just the simple task of finding the difference between the two attacks, and the more the attack was used the easier to become to figure it out. This actually caused his opponent to be trapped in a loop. They couldn't use the attack that could actually hit him too often or it wouldn't work anymore, but they couldn't use other moves because they definitely wouldn't work. This was the reason Naruto was dodging both the lightning and the kunais. He didn't want Darui to realize that only his black lightning was effective, and Naruto's plan worked like a charm. Darui kept shooting his lightning, never knowing that he was just handing Naruto the information needed to beat him. Naruto did figure it out about 3 minutes into the fight thanks to all the times Darui spammed it and how similar it was to regular lightning release. Naruto was done with running, skating around and charged Darui. Darui smirked, obviously thinking Naruto had lost his mind, and fired his black lightning at Naruto. Imagine his surprise when it came right back at him. He had to shot his lightning again just to negate his own attack. Naruto meanwhile hadn't stopped his charge and was now right in front of Darui. All he had to do was touch him and it was all over. Naruto could feel that finger brush over the hair that covered one of Darui's eyes. Naruto warped his fingers around, nothing. Naruto turned his head so fast you could hear the crack, but Darui had just disappeared. Where did he go? He was right there, Naruto thought. He looked around some more, but there was no one. It was only him. Naruto, not having any reason to stay, left very confused as to what had happened. Naruto would have no way of knowing this, but he wasn't alone. There were two people watching him from afar, one of them the very man who had disappeared from his sight. The other the strongest man in the whole village, the fourth Raikage. "Thanks for saving me. I'm sorry to have been such a bother," Darui apologized to the fourth. "Don't worry about it, there was no way we could have known that it was Minato's son," said. "But you should have known about his abilities from when he killed that genin teen when we thought he was Accelerator." "I'm sorry, I never read that report," Darui said. "Well, at least it appears I was too fast for him to see, so now he'll lead us back to Ujido," said, watching the young Namikaze leave. "Oh, son of Minato, no matter how powerful you think your defense is, once we find Ujido you'll know what true power is," thought as he called in his Umbu to follow Accelerator. He didn't want to attack him because finding Ujido was much more of a priority. Naruto wasn't that stupid, however. People don't just disappear, so just because Naruto didn't know how Darui got away, he knew that he was going to be tracked back to Haiden. Naruto would just have to show Kumo that Darui wasn't the only one who could pull off a vanishing act, and so Naruto would never learn of the true power the Raikage was speaking of. At least for now. The next month only proved the Akatsuki were a force to be feared. The two tails and the four tails had been captured and are presumed dead. The meeting that Minato had wanted before the Akatsuki made their move was finally coming to pass now that the other villages had been attacked. The meeting might have been late, but at least it was going to happen before things really got out of hand. The meeting would take place in the Land of Iron with a samurai overseeing it. All the great nations would be there plus Takigakure, since they had finally admitted to having the seven tails. The rules of the meeting were simple. The leaders of the villages would reveal any information they had on the Akatsuki and hopefully create a pact to fight against them. Minato wasn't going to mention his daughters as part of the Akatsuki though. All the jinchuriki were also required to be present and each leader was allowed to bring 2 guards. Minato would be taking Jiraiya and Itachi and of course Naruko. Kushina had begged to go, but Minato didn't want Minama to be left alone. The trip there was uneventful, but the arrival was a little overwhelming. It started out with Naruko being ambushed by a girl with green hair almost before she walked in the door. "Hey, so you're Konoha's jinchuriki?" Finally another girl. "All these boys' jinchurikis are so antisocial. How many tails do you have? Do you want to be my friend?" The girl rattled off, leaving Naruko no chance to answer. Minato chuckled at the scene. "Well Naruko, I better head to the meeting room. You'll be called in a little later. Until then you can wait in the lobby with your new friend," Minato said, walking off with Jiraiya and Itachi in tow. Naruko sighed. It was just like Minato to leave her with someone she didn't even know. She turned to look at the green-haired girl. "I'm Naruko. I don't believe I got your name." "I'm Fu," she said, pointing to herself and putting on a big grin. "I'm Jinchuriki to the 7 tails. I like to swim, train and play." "I'm the Jinchuriki to the 9 tails," Naruko said. "Wow, so that means you're like the strongest one here," Fu said with a spark in her eye. "I doubt it. I'm sure some of the other Jinchuriki are way stronger than me," Naruko said, wondering what was with this girl. She acted like a child. "So you said the other Jinchuriki were antisocial. Does that mean they're here?" Naruko asked, since she really did want to see what the other Jinchuriki were like. Hopefully they were a little more normal than this Fu. "Why do you want to see them? They're all boring. Let's do something fun like tag." Fu pouted. "Can you please just take me to them?" Naruko asked. "Fine, but don't blame me when you're bored out of your mind," Fu said, crossing her arms in front of her chest. Fu led Naruko to the lobby where all the Jinchuriki were gathered waiting for the leaders to finish their opening decision. Naruko was a little surprised that none of them had guards. After all, Jinchuriki were prime subjects for kidnapping, but one look at them told Naruko that they didn't need guards. They all looked really powerful and Naruko honestly kind of found herself overwhelmed. The first guy she noticed was a tall man wearing red armor with most of his face covered up, but was most shocking was the steam that seemed to be coming straight from his skin. Naruko made a quick note not to mess with him. There was also a guy in a blue kimono and he was blowing bubbles. The last one of the group was perhaps the strangest. Naruko could tell he was from Kumo by the way he dressed and his headband. He was rapping to himself, something that the Jinchuriki in red seemed to find very annoying by the look he was giving him. So much for them being normal. Naruko tried to start a conversation with them, but they either shot her down or started giving her a rap concert. "Told you so," Fu said when Naruko had to wander back in defeat. "Let's do something fun now." Naruko was about to say something that would let her get away from Fu, but someone handled that for her. "You may all enter the meeting room now," a samurai said. All the Jinchuriki made their way into the meeting room and stood behind their respective leaders. "Now that we're all here, we can get down to the real business," the Raikage said, obviously having not enjoyed the per-meeting discussion. "First let's go through what has already taken place," the Tsuchikage said. "The Akatsuki have already managed to capture the 1, 2, and 4 tails. The 2 and 4 tails Jinchuriki are most likely dead," Anoki said, giving a pretty dirty look to Gaara. "As such, the remaining Jinchuriki are Han from IWA, Utakata from Kirk, Fu from Taki, Killer Bee from Kumo and Naruko from Konoha. The 3 tails is unaccounted for. We've already lost 3-tailed beats. How the hell could this happen?" the Mizukage said. "I didn't see you rushing to fight the Akatsuki," Gaara said. "I didn't see why I needed to. I kept a hold of my Jinchuriki. I don't see why you couldn't when he was inside of you," Mei said with a smirk. "Don't talk about my brother like that," Tamari said with her hand on her fan. "Calm down, we're here to fight the Akatsuki, not each other," Shibuki, the leader of Taki, said. "I agree. Anoki said, making everyone calm down. Now back to business. As a united group, we know very little about the Akatsuki. Anoki said, eyeing everyone at the table. All the information is divided among the leaders, and the point of this meeting is to let everyone at this table know. So who would like to go first? Everyone at the table stayed silent. No one wanted to be the first to spill their information, but finally, either because she wanted to gain respect since she was a new Kage or she just wanted to get it over with, Mei started talking. It is highly possible that the Akatsuki had a connection with the fourth Mizukage. How was he connected? Minato asked. That I don't know. All the information was destroyed, and any of the men still loyal to him we killed by an unknown Akatsuki member, although we only found out about him being Akatsuki recently. Mei said. That's just a dead end. Said, not looking impressed with this information. Also, the Nuabari was stolen during this time. Mei said. Minato eyes widened just a little bit upon hearing that, but luckily no one noticed. Alright, who's next? Anoki asked, but this time no one stepped up to the plate. A few moments of awkward silence follow before the Raikage finally spoke up. Why did we even call this meeting if no one has any helpful information? He yelled, glaring at everyone. Fine, I don't see why I should tell you this since none of you have put anything on a table, but I know the identify of two Akatsuki members. This caught everyone's attention. Well, tell us. Mei said. The two Akatsuki members that captured Yujito were hidden from the now deactivate Yugakure and Naruto Namikaze, the son of the fourth Hokage. Said, finding the shocked look on Minato's face highly enjoyable. Minato, did you know about Naruto's involvement with the Akatsuki? Anoki asked. Even though Minato had 1,000 thoughts racing through his mind, he kept his cool. No, until now I assumed Naruto was a regular Rouge Nin, but in light of this new information I would also like to identify one of the Akatsuki members. Minato said, trying to shift the blame away from him just a little bit. Deidara from IWA, and there is also a possibility that Suigetsu from Kiri is part of the Akatsuki since he was helping Naruto when we first encountered him in the Land of Frost. There is also a possibility that Orochimaru is part of the Akatsuki, but information suggests he left quite some time ago. There is also Sasori from Suna, but he was killed by my wife and her team. Now we're getting somewhere. Anoki said. We should discuss a plan of attack immediately and send a task force to recover the three tails. But what about Naruto? We can't just ignore the fact the Hokage's son is part of the enemy force. They could be helping the Akatsuki. Said, not happy his big jab to Konoha and just been dismissed as another piece of information. Calm down, Mei said. From what I heard, Naruto was stolen as a newborn by Orochimaru, and not to mention that Minato said his wife killed one of the members. I doubt the Leaf is supporting the Akatsuki. Started grumbling in his chair after hearing that, but he was about to get help from a very unlikely candidate, Gaara. While I don't believe the Leaf is supporting the Akatsuki, I can't help but notice that Minato has failed to give us some very important information. Everyone once again turned to Minato, who had a panicked look on his as well, hidden as it was. Could you please tell us this information you believe I'd been keeping from you? Minato said. Gaara sighed, obviously having wanted to give Minato the chance to speak for himself, but he hadn't. While I don't believe they're main members, they are definitely affiliated with the Akatsuki, and they are Hanabi Hyuga, Hitomi Uchiha, and Mito Namikaze. Also, they have possession of the Nuabari and the Kiba swords. That was the final nail in the coffin. Everyone turned to Minato with an anger and untrustworthy look, and Minato could understand why out of all the identified Akatsuki members, Leaf Nin made up more than half, and two of them were from Minato's own family. The only question was, how did Gaara find out? The only person from Suna that saw the girls was Chiyo, and she was dead. Meanwhile, behind Minato, Naruko was shaken so bad that it was noticeable to the whole room. After all, this was the worst thing that could have happened to them, and it was all her fault. This meeting was shaping up to be everyone against the Leaf. Naruko was cursing herself for being the one that caused this problem. It started right after they got back to Suna and found out Kankuro had died. Temari was pretty much having a mental breakdown at that point, and once she saw Gaara alive, she leaped into him for a hug. Gaara-san looked like it was about to block her, but Gaara suppressed it. The next couple of minutes were spent watching awkwardly as Temari cried into her brother's shoulder. The scene probably would have lasted forever if Gaara hadn't been forcibly dragged off by the elders to talk about his capture. Naruko and Tenten decided they would take Temari to the bath to get her, and themselves, cleaned up. Minima and Kushina were still in the infirmary getting their wounds patched up, so they didn't come. They hoped it would relax her, and it did, but a bath wouldn't fix the trauma of losing a bother. "It will be okay. Gaara's still here," Tenten said. "You two could never understand. My brother is dead. I'll never be able to see or talk to him ever again." Temari said. Tears started to flow. "Temari, I do understand," Naruko said. "It might not be exactly the same, but I've lost a sibling too. My little sister Mito and her two friends Hanabi and Hitomi ran away from the village, and it was just today that I found out where they went. They joined the Akatsuki, and my sister made it abundantly clear how much she hates me, so I know what it's like to lose a sibling." Naruko couldn't believe she had said that. She had just wanted to help a friend, but now it was blowing up in her face, and Minato was taking the full force of it. "Well, Minato, care to explain why two members of your family are part of that Akatsuki?" Said. Minato was really in a tight situation here. What was he supposed to say? That Mito and her friends ran away because she hated her family. Yeah, that would go over well. Damn, if only he knew that Naruto was part of the Akatsuki beforehand, everything would have made so much more sense. Mito left to find her brother, and she did. "I have no explanation," Minato said, looking down at his feet. "I see," said. "Now I believe it's time to discuss what to do about the Akatsuki. I suggest the first thing to do is issue a kill-on-sight order for all shinobi." "Wait a minute, some of those members are only kids, we can't just kill them," Minato said, getting more panicked. "What you mean to say is that some of those members are your kids?" Anoki said. "I agree with the Reikage, and let me remind you, Minato, that you were the one who wanted to have this meeting and stop the Akatsuki so badly." "I agree to this suggestion too," Gaara said. "Me too," Mei said. "Next we should decide what to do about the three tails. We need to find it before the Akatsuki does, and figure out what to do with it once we find it," Anoki said. "I believe since my village is the only one without a jinchuriki, we should be tasked with finding it, then making it soon as new jinchuriki," Gaara said. "You don't have a jinchuriki because you lost it," Mei said. "The Three Tails was originally part of Kiri, and we haven't lost our jinchuriki, so we are far better equipped to take on another one. If you're talking about villages that haven't lost a jinchuriki, then Taka is more than ready to find the Three Tails," Shibuki said. "Silence, no one village will have the right to the Three Tails, it will be a joint effort," said. "All information will be shared, and if we do capture it, the village that did the most work will get it. Is that agreeable?" "Hi," the rest of the group said. "All right, then I believe this meeting is over," said. "Actually, I believe that the Nine Tails Jinchuriki should be taken out of the leaf for protection," Anoki said. "What, are you saying that I am incapable of protecting my own daughter?" Minato said. "I do," Anoki said. "More than a few Akatsuki members come from your village and would know about the village layout and Naruko's habits. Not to mention Mito would know about the layout of your own house, and I'm sure that you will not follow the kill-on-sight order. Mito could try and convince you she's returned to your side and then take Naruko from right under your nose. That would never happen," Minato yelled, actually standing up. "Come on, we're leaving." As they were leaving, he said something that shook Minato to his very core. "What would never happen, you letting Mito back in or Mito tricking you and taking Naruko away?" Minato didn't respond. "Goodbye Naruko, have a safe trip back. Write me sometime," Fu said, waving Naruko goodbye. After everything was said and done, the alliance against the Akatsuki was made with all the nations, although Konoha noticeably got the short end of the stick in information and in support from other nations. Minato had also got against many of the alliance's order. Like the fact he had told his ninja not only to not follow the kill on sight order when it came to Naruto and the girls, but to do everything in their power to capture them. He made sure that every ninja under his command knew about Naruto's power and his weakness as few as he might have. Along with this, he had also kicked Naruko's and Minamo's training into overdrive. Minato had also sent a number of squads to investigate Naruto sightings. Most people thought, even those in his own village, Minato were optimistic at best and disillusioned at worst. He thought that capturing Naruto and talking to him would be good enough to get him to join the Leaf and the girls would follow, but people just couldn't see that happening. Naruto had attacked the Leaf, killed Leaf Nin, and was hunting his own sister. What Minato needed to understand was that Naruto wasn't just going through a rebellious phase, he was a serious threat to the Leaf, but there was someone who did see Naruto as a threat and he wasn't going to wait for Minato to see it. Danzo, you called. Torian said, kneeling in front of Danzo along with Sai and Fu, not the Jinchuriki Fu, the other one. I have a mission for you three. Danzo said. What is it you desire? Fu asked. As you know, Naruto has been confirmed to be part of the Akatsuki. He has skills far beyond that of even a regular S-class. This makes him a threat to the entire village, but Minato can't seem to see that, so it will be up to you to take him out for the good of the Leaf. Danzo said. How do you suggest we go about it? From what I heard, Naruto's reflection has only been penetrated by Lee, and even with training no one else has been able to replicate it. Not even Guy. Toryun said. You can't. Naruto's defense is by far the best of any ninja before him. Danzo said. That's why you won't be attack him. You'll be attack a weaker ninja, although just as much as a threat as Naruto. Fu, Toryun, your orders are to capture Mito Namikaze and kill anyone who stands in your way. That includes the Uchiha and the Hyuga heiress. I already have source that can tell you where they are. Now go. Hi, they said before flickering off. As for you, Sai, you will tell Naruto that we have his sister, and if he doesn't comply with our demands we will kill her. Danzo said. What are your demands? Sai asked. To come to the outskirts of the village with his reflection turned off. Then I will send the root ninja to kill him. Danzo said, already formulating the plan. What if he denies your demands? Sai asked. Then we will kill Mito, although we would regardless. If Naruto is killed, then it's just one more threat that has been eliminated. We will still have removed Mito. Danzo said. Hi, Sai said, flickering off to find his mark. Mito, Hitomi, Hanabi and Suigetsu were walking along, not really doing much after having just turned in their latest bounty. After the little bit of excitement they had with Gaara's capture, it was back to bounty work like normal. The Akatsuki was figuring out who would replace Sasori, and in the meantime Deidara was tagging along with Setsu. The girls were all secretly hoping to become the new members, but that wasn't likely to happen as Suigetsu would probably be picked before them. Hanabi could still hope that she would be partnered with Naruto, no matter how unlikely that would be. Suddenly the girls stopped. Hey, what are you three doing? Suigetsu said, continuing his walk. We're being watched. Hanabi said. You're crazy, Suigetsu said as a kunai shot through his neck. Hanabi quickly took action and threw her sword at the tree where the kunai had come from. A man wearing an umbu mask jumped down without saying a word. His only defining characteristic was his orange hair. He charged at them, taking out his tanto. The girls were ready to defend themselves, but the umbu encountered a different opponent. You know, it's not nice to surprise a guy like that, Suigetsu said, having blocked the tanto with his own sword. The umbu didn't seem surprised that Suigetsu wasn't dead. In fact, he seemed to have expected it. That when the umbu's tanto started crackling with lightning and started cutting through Suigetsu's sword. The girls were about to go run off and help him, but Hanabi, thanks to her near 360 vision, saw another umbu coming up behind them along with the number of kunais he had just thrown. Hanabi, not having time to warn her friends, started spinning around. Palm rotation. She screamed, creating a dome of chakra around them and causing the kunais to bounce off harmlessly. Mito and Hitomi have realizing that someone was behind them turned around. Lightning rife. Mito yelled shouting at the Ambu along with a fireball that Hitomi had made. The Ambu was not deterred as he quickly dogged out of the way. On the other side of the field the girls heard a snapping sound and turned to see that Suigetsu's sword had been cut in half, and the electrified Tanto slashing upwards. Suigetsu leaned back to avoid the attack and shot some water bullets forcing the Ambu to move back. The Ambu wasn't nearly ready to give up. His attack though, as he put his hand on the ground and lightning started to dance across the ground and towards Suigetsu. Mito seeing this and knowing that Suigetsu was insanely weak to lightning threw one of her swords in front of him. The sword embedded itself in the ground and absorbed all the electricity that had been aimed at Suigetsu. Mito, pleased with herself, turned back to fight the other Ambu, but now there was something different about him. His arms were a purple color, and it seemed to be moving like it was somehow alive. The Ambu ran at them with just his fists trying to touch them with the strange substance. The girls weren't about to let that happen. The Ambu was met with 3 girls all using taijutsu to try and stop him. The girls weren't using any jutsu because they had leaned on more than one occasion that your own jutsu could block your line of sight, and with that guy trying so hard to get them with that substance they weren't about to lose track of him. After all, the girls had learned time and time again from Naruto that if you don't know what something is then you better figure it out on your own before your opponent forces you to. As the fight went on the girls noticed something rather strange. The Ambu was trying to avoid touching Mito. There was only one possible answer to explain the Ambu's actions. He was trying to take Mito alive. Mito realized she could use this to her advantage by putting herself in harm's way. The Ambu would be forced to make awkward movements around her, but just as Mito was ready to put her plan into action she felt a slight pressure hit the back of her head. It felt like something was burrowing inside in mind, and that's when Mito realized that her mind was being invaded. She unfortunately had realized this too late and the Yamanaka took control of her mind. Suigetsu was confused on why his opponent suddenly collapsed. He was about to do the obvious thing and cut the Ambu's head off, but before he could make it a few steps Mito jumped in front of him, grabbed the sword she had previously thrown in front of him and slashed at him with an electric charged blade. Suigetsu, not having expected an attack, failed to dodge. Normally this wouldn't be a problem, but since the blade had lightning chakra Suigetsu immediately felt his body start to liquefy into a pool of goo. Hanabi and Hitomi were also surprised by Mito's sudden actions and were catch off guard when the Ambu they had been fighting rushed them and warped his hands around each of their arms. The purple substance crawled up their arms, leaving them in unimaginable pain until they finally couldn't take it anymore and collapsed to the ground dead. Mission complete, the Ambu said, going over to pick up his partner's body while he was controlling Mito. Naruto was resting on the side of a nice grassy hill. It was so rare for him to be able to relax like this, and honestly it was his favorite thing to do. Why was he resting when he should be making his way to Taki? Well, that was simple, because Haiden was doing his damn ritual again. Naruto may have liked to relax, but he liked to do it when everything was taken care of. Not at the seemingly random will of Jashin. Haiden, are you almost done? Naruto asked. I will not rush the ritual just because you want to go. We've got plenty of time to capture the 7 tails. Haiden yelled. We won't if we have to stop every hour to do a 2-hour ritual. Naruto said. Haiden didn't respond and Naruto was glad he didn't. It was tiring having to put up with him. How Naruto missed his laid-back days in the land of frost. All he had to do was teach the girls a few tricks, and they would do whatever he said. Thinking about the good old days made Naruto a little sleepily, and since Haiden wasn't going to be done anytime soon, he decided he would give in to his sleepiness. His pleasant nap was interrupted by someone walking over to him and standing right behind his head. Naruto didn't open his eyes, so he didn't know who it was. He only knew there was a person there because he heard them. Naruto assumed it was Haiden, finally done with his ritual, but since he made Naruto wait so long and he was still a little sleepily, Naruto thought he'd make Haiden wait for him. All Naruto had to do was ignore his shouts to get up. After all, it wasn't like Haiden could shake him awake, so Naruto waited for Haiden to start his hissy fit, but it never came. This confused Naruto. Haiden would never let him rest in peace, so the only conclusion was this guy wasn't Haiden. Naruto opened his eyes like he had just been asleep until that very moment. The guy that was standing over Naruto's head was so pale that he could give Naruto a run for his money. He was wearing a leaf headband and had a face without emotion. "Who are you?" Naruto asked. "Naruto, I'm here to tell you that we have dashed," the leaf ninja tried to say, but in one swift motion Naruto had reached into his pocket, pulled out his ball and shot it at the ninja's face. It wasn't going fast enough to rip through his head, but was certainly enough to rattle his brain and cause death, but instead of the blood Naruto had expected, ink came out of the wound. The ninja became a pool of ink as if it was a water clone. "Alright, come on out. If you want to talk to me, you'll have to do it face to face," Naruto said, acting like he knew it was a clone all along. At this point the ball he had thrown had bounced off a tree and back into Naruto's hand. Naruto watched as a ninja exactly identical to his clone walked up to Naruto. "As my clone was trying to say, we have captured you, Sister Mito, and if you don't want us to kill her, then you must comply with our demands." "Oh, I see," Naruto said, getting up on his feet. "So what you're saying is that you'll kill Mito unless I come with you and get killed myself?" Naruto said, already having used what this ninja wanted from him. "Hi," the ninja said. "But do want to know something? I don't really want to die, so that would mean you can take your request and shove it up your ass," Naruto said with his cocky smirk. "I see," the ninja said, summoning a bird made out of ink. "Then I will be on my way to tell my master about your decision." "Wait a minute, you don't think you can just leave, do you?" Naruto said, pulling out his ball again. "Because you just threatened me and my sister." Sai, realizing that Naruto was about to kill him, took off and flew away as fast as he could. Fly away, little bird, but just know that the sky doesn't offer any cover," Naruto said, holding his hand flat to the floor, letting the ball drop and come back up. It was the same attack he used on Minima, but this time he did it for longer, and just when the bird was about to leave his sight, the ball went sailing through the sky. Naruto could barely see the bird at this point, but when that part of the sky turned red and a figure fell to the ground, Naruto knew he had made a hit. It just so happened that at that moment Hayden walked up beside Naruto. "What are you looking at?" he asked. "Why don't you come along and find out?" Naruto said, walking in the direction he saw the leaf nin fall. Hayden shrugged and followed him. Naruto watched as the leaf ninja tried to crawl away in pain when he arrived at the impact site. His whole right leg had been torn off by Naruto's attack, and Naruto was sure that fall had broken a lot of bones. Naruto picked up his ball that was lying in a puddle of blood. "So I'm guessing your master is going to kill Mito now?" Naruto said, wiping on his ball. "Of course he will," the nin said, coughing up blood. "Do you really not care about her?" Naruto smiled, getting down on one knee in front of the ninja. "Of course I care about her. I didn't train those girls for fun." "Then why are you going to let her be killed?" he asked. "Because they're not going to be killed," Naruto said, an evil glint in his eye. "You might not know this about the Akatsuki, but information travels fast. If the girls had been killed or captured, I would have known about it, but I haven't been informed, so that means you don't have them." "It is true that we don't have them," the nin said. "But we're capturing them right now, so you just signed their death warrants." "Your master must really underestimate my training method," Naruto said, getting back to his feet. "I trained them for 3 years. They won't be beaten by Root, and you can tell Danzo that in the afterlife." Naruto enjoyed seeing the shocked look on the Root agent's face. It was the only shred of emotion he'd seen him give. "How do you know about Root?" he asked. "Orochimaru," Naruto said before bringing his foot down on the Root agent's face and using his vectors to smash it against the ground. "Now that's done, we should get a move on." "You sure the brats will be fine?" Hayden asked. "They better be. I didn't train them to lose," Naruto said. The Yambu that had just killed Hanabi and Hitomi walked over to his partner to carry his body while he was controlling Mito, but before he could he felt a sharp pain in his chest. It was so bad that he actually fell to his knees. Looking down to see what had caused the pain was a huge shock. Sticking out through his chest was the Nuabari. But how he had killed them? He looked back just in time to see the two bodies turn into black feather. Genjutsu, Torian said as the sword was ripped out of his chest by Hanabi. Damn it, Torian said, putting pressure on his wound to keep himself from bleeding out. Fu and Mito's body rushed the girls knowing they wouldn't hurt their friend, but he wasn't exactly right. Once he got close, Hanabi went into the Hyuga stance and closed off Mito's chakra points. That sword isn't the only way I can attack, Hanabi said, smiling down on Fu. You're not used to that body, so it would have been hard for you to dodge, Hitomi said. Then I'll just return to mine, Fu said as he released Mito from his jutsu. Fu was transferred back to his own body and was going back to attack the girls, but right when he got to his feet a sword slashed him across his stomach. What the hell, Fu said, looking at the person who had caused his wound. Suigetsu was smiling, his body have re-solidified. His sword also reforming from the blood he had just gotten for Fu. You two really should have thought about who you were messing with before you went and attacked us, Suigetsu said to the two wounded Ambu. We're not done yet, Torian said, getting to his feet. Yes you are, Suigetsu said, not as an opinion but as a fact. Torian didn't know how he could be so sure until he saw the reflection. The reflection of the sun on the ninja wire directly behind Suigetsu, and everywhere else. When did she have time to do that, Torian thought. Hanabi gave the ninja wire attached to her sword a tug and it contracted, wrapping around Fu and Torian. Suigetsu was also in the area of danger, but the wire passed harmlessly through his water body. The two Ambu were hosted up, supported by the wire that was now hanging them from a tree. Game over, Hitomi said as she threw two kunais at the Ambu now that they were unable to move. Mission to capture Mito, failed. Mission to kill Naruto, failed. What used to be a small forest was now nothing more than wood and stumps. Good job Minima, Kushina said from the sidelines. Using your lightning chakra in combination with your chains not only gives you a lot more cutting power, but it will also zap anyone who comes into contact with it. Not everyone, Minima said with a sigh. For the other side of the stumps, the girls hear a huge blast of power and then Naruko came flying over to their side, slightly burnt. Ow, Naruko said, getting up just as Mito teleported over. Still now able to get it? Kushina asked. No, I just don't see how we're going to be able to add a churka element to the Rasengan. Every time it just ends up blowing up in our faces, Minato said. But we can't give up, because if we're able to pull it off, no one will be able to survive a direct hit. I can name at least one person who could, Naruko said with a sigh. Kushina and Minato knew who she talking, but the truth was there really wasn't any single move that could get past his reflection. Kazan, Tusan, why is it that no one can beat Naruto? Naruko asked. I mean, there are plenty of other ridiculously strong people in the world, each with their own amazing powers that would seem impossible to stop, yet they can still be beat, so what makes Naruto so different? Minato looked at his daughter, then up at the sky, letting out a sigh. You're right, there are other people just as strong if not stronger than Naruto, but there's something he has that makes him stand out above the rest. We already know it's his reflection, Minima said. Well yes, but it doesn't have to be reflection, Minato said. You see, when a new ability or power comes along, it's the job of everyone else to figure out how to beat it. The girls gave Minato a blank look, obviously not getting it. Here, I'll give you an example. When I created my Flying Thunder God, no one knew how to deal with it, and that helped us win the third great ninja war. But as time went on, people figure out my power and ways to combat it, so while still powerful, it doesn't strike fear like it used to. So in other words, the more a power is used, the easily it is to beat, Minima said. That's right, Minato said. Take the giant fireball jutsu. It seems like an incredibly powerful, but since so many people use it, it's become rather easy jutsu to avoid or counter on its own. Now nobody else in the whole world has Naruto's power. In fact, he's even more dangerous because his power isn't close to any other power, which makes it that much harder to figure out. Does that mean nobody will be able to figure out his power? Minima asked. Minato sighed. I'll admit it will be hard. Naruto has not only shown how deadly he can be with his power, but he's also has put a lot of effort into making sure not to give too much information on it, by really only spamming the three same moves: reflection, pebble throw and his ball. He is not however invincible. You two seem to forget that we already got past his reflection once, and that was when Shikamaru saw only a small battle between him and Minima. Minima smiled at that comment. So all we need to do is keep fighting him. We may not win the first time or the second or for many times after that, but each time we'll figure out a little more and then we'll beat him. Minato said with a voice that was so convincing that even Kushina had hope for the future. The future, however, was not going to be as cheerful as Kushina would hope. While Minato was right on a lot of things, fighting Naruto over and over again would not be a wise option, because in order to get information about a power you need to have someone who survived the power, and those would turn out to be quite hard to come by. Utakata was happy. Ever since this Akatsuki business he wasn't allowed to go on missions. Now normally this would be bad thing, but Utakata enjoyed wasting the day away. Now instead of having to put his life on the line he could walk around the village and enjoy the scenery. Right now he was relaxing in one of Kiri's very few parks. He was the only one there since all the kids had left after the big bad jinchuriki arrived. Utakata didn't really care what the villagers thought of him, and honestly he preferred being alone. All he needed was himself and the little pet that was trapped inside him. Utakata sat in the park for a while just blowing bubbles until he sensed someone approaching him. Normally he would just ignore it since it was usually some civilian or low-ranking ninja coming to kill him. The Ambu that always watched him would take care of them, but Utakata could feel how much stronger this guy was compared to everyone else that had tried to take his life over the years. There was only one explanation: the Akatsuki had come to pay a visit. Utakata waited until the Akatsuki member walked into his line of sight. He was wearing the Akatsuki cloak that Utakata had been told about. His hair was a bright orange and his eyes were something that Utakata had never seen before. While he had expected the Akatsuki to be a group of freaks, so his appearance didn't faze Utakata, but the two bloody Ambu corpses he was holding in each hand was cause for alarm. He didn't even have a scratch on him. "So I'm guessing you're here to capture me," Utakata said, getting to his feet and wondering how long it would take before the entire village rushed over here to kill this guy. "That would be correct," the Akatsuki member said. "Also, this fight will have to be quick." "Really, why is that?" Utakata said, moving the bubbles he had made earlier behind the Akatsuki member. "Because I know you're expecting the other ninja in this village to come and help, and while I was able to find you without being detected, once the fight starts they'll come running. As I would prefer not having to deal with them, the fight needs to be over quickly," he said in a long drawn-out explanation, even though the reason was obvious from the beginning. It was almost like he was the one trying to stall for time. "Well, you don't have to worry, this fight will be very quick," Utakata said. The bubbles behind the Akatsuki member exploded, kicking up dust and dirt. Utakata would be naive if he thought that an attack like that would kill an S-class nin, but the explosion should get the village's attention. As the smoke cleared, Utakata saw what he expected to see: an unharmed Akatsuki member holding out two bloody and smoking Ambu which he had used as a shield, but something was wrong. He still had orange hair and those strange eyes, but his physique was different. "Who are you?" Utakata asked. The Akatsuki member dropped the Ambu with a sickening thud. He raised his head so he was staring directly into Utakata's eyes. Utakata found himself unable to look away. Staring into those purple eyes shook Utakata to his very core. He saw his death in a million different ways. He saw the six tails being ripped from him, and he saw how his opponent had the power to make all that a reality and then some. "I am pain," he said right before Utakata felt something grab him from behind, something cold and hard like metal. It took Ambu a little less than a minute to reach the area where they had heard the explosion, but upon arrival there wasn't a single person there. Well, at least ones that were breathing. The two Ambu bodies were immediately recognized as the Ambu that had been tasked with watching over Utakata. The whole village was put on alert to find either Utakata or the Akatsuki member that had taken him. However, Utakata would never been seen again. May had to send in the embarrassing report to the other villages telling them that they had lost the 6 tails and they didn't even get to see the member responsible for the kidnapping. Things were not looking good. The Akatsuki was now even with the villages in terms of tail beasts, but they only had one causality while the villages had lost a number of powerful ninjas. The news spread like wildfire. The few villages with jinchuriki started beefing up their security to new extremes. An order from the council, the 5 kages plus Shibuki, although Minato was more or less excluded, declared that all jinchuriki needed to be watched 24/7 by no less than 6 umbu, and although this wasn't an order, most villages had addition umbu watching those umbu to see if anything happened to them. Minato, however, once again went against the order, figuring he and Kushina could protect Naruko just fine without her feeling like her life was being invaded. Shibuki and Mei formed a sub-alliance that gave the much weaker Takigakure much-needed support, mainly in the form of Kirk umbu. Since Suna and Kirk didn't have any jinchuriki, they also sent out a number of ninjas to find any Akatsuki members, then report back so a larger force could be sent to kill them. This was something Minato had already been doing, but everyone knew he was really only sending them out to find Naruto or the girls. But regardless of Minato's intentions, the Akatsuki now had 3 major ninja villages actively hunting them. It would no longer be so easy to move around undetected. "This isn't fun anymore," Hayden said as he walked over the body of a jounin. Naruto was thinking along the same lines almost every day now that had encountered at least a couple enemy ninja. There were a couple Suna and Kirk ninja, but the overwhelming majority were Konoha, and Naruto didn't believe this was a coincidence. While he had Hayden never left any survivors, the trail of bodies would be enough to find their position, especially when he and Hayden were forced to sit still for 3 days. Naruto also believed the reason he was coming across so many Konoha ninja was because Minato knew it was him. After all, Naruto's attacks left rather unique wounds on the bodies. There was something that was really throwing Naruto for a loop, however. At first it was Konoha umbu squads, nothing strange there, but just as Naruto started suspecting that Konoha was closing in on his and Hayden's position, they changed to Jounin squads, then Chunin squads. Minato should know that Chunin or Jounin were no match for Hayden or him, so why was he sending them to their deaths? Naruto couldn't think of any rational explanation. Had Minato finally lost it trying to get him back, or had he already got so many of his ninja killed trying to find him that he can't afford it to send any more high-level ninja? Whatever the case, it just made things easier for them. As long as Taki didn't know they were coming, they'd be fine. Naruto had after all taken great care in plotting out their course to keep anyone from finding out their destination, but since Taki was the only village with a jinchuriki within a reasonable distance from them, it must be pretty oblivious where they're going. At least to anyone who had constantly thrown ninjas at them, but they had yet to encounter any Taki ninja, so was Minato keeping this information to himself? Did he not want his son to get hurt by the big bad ninja that had been ordered to kill him on sight? Naruto let out a soft chuckle at the thought. "What's so funny?" Hayden asked. "Nothing, just thinking about how crazy my father is," Naruto said, still chuckling a little. "Whatever, let's just get going, I'm tired of fighting this weakling." Hayden stopped, not only specking but walking too. Naruto also noticed he couldn't move. What the hell is going on? While Naruto couldn't move his head, he could move his eyes, and he looked down to confirm what he already suspected. They were trapped in a shadow. So Minato sent him, Naruto thought. "It's been a long time, Shikamaru. I haven't seen you since you came up with a plan that ended in me getting a Rasengan in my stomach." There was no response. It was like Naruto had been talking to the trees. "Hey, what's going on? There's no one here," Hayden yelled, still trying to move his feet. "Of course there is, idiot, our legs didn't just stop on their own," Naruto thought. "However, if we haven't been attacked, then that must mean they know about Hayden's immortality along with my reflection. So they must be watching us, analyzing us. Well, they won't get me to reveal my hand that easily, but I guess I could give them a taste." Naruto stared to take control of the wind and made a large cyclone around him and Hayden. Once Naruto felt it was big enough, he sent it into the tree line. It tore through the trees, knocking them down like children's play blocks. Naruto watched as multiple ninja were forced to vacate the area and move to ground level. Naruto didn't see Shikamaru jump down, but the person who Naruto recognized as his sensei along with his other two teammates jumped. There was also a couple other ninja Naruto didn't know, but in total there was 9 in Naruto's sight along with Shikamaru, who must be hiding somewhere. Naruto looked around for the shadow that would be connecting Shikamaru to them. Naruto found it to the left of him, but instead of leading him to Shikamaru, it went down a small hole and out of Naruto's sight. You guys really did get us in a pretty good trap. If I can't find Shikamaru, then I'm pretty much stuck here. So why don't you just attack me? Because you just reflect our own weapons back at us, Asuma said. Then what was the point of keeping me from moving if you're just going to stand there watching me? Naruto asked. We trapped you because we believe you can get out of it, so come on, show us your power, Asuma said. And what if I can't get out? We'll just be standing here until Shikamaru no longer has the power to hold us in place, Naruto said, more than willing to wait them out. Asuma just gave Naruto a smirk in reply, and Naruto was left to wonder why when he felt his body turn. A quick glance at Hayden saw him doing the same. Naruto's back was now facing Hayden as he was looking at the back of Naruto's head. Oh, you turned us so scary, Naruto teased. Shikamaru wasn't done yet, however, as Naruto felt his hand move to reach for something behind his back. For Naruto there was nothing there, but for Hayden it was his scythe. Naruto thought of what the purpose of this was until he reached a conclusion he didn't like. Shikamaru was going to get Hayden to stab him in the back. Normally it would just be reflected, but since Shikamaru also had control of Naruto's movements, he could make Naruto move in direction of Hayden's scythe. Naruto's reflection wouldn't work if he was the one to run into the scythe. Naruto had to admit Shikamaru came up with a brilliant plan. Either Naruto do something to get out of this which would give the Leaf some information about him, or he dies to his own partner. It looks like Naruto would have to do something, but there was one thing Shikamaru forgot. In order for that information to be valuable, someone had to be alive to tell about it, and Naruto wasn't going to let that happen. Naruto felt his arm move in a swinging motion and his body being forced to the right. The first step Naruto took resulted in him causing an earthquake. The ground broke into 1,000 pieces, some being pushed up by the other pieces. The Leaf Ninja had to move back a little bit or risked being crushed. Naruto and Hayden, on the other hand, were pushed upwards by the piece they were standing on, thus breaking Shikamaru's connection. Naruto, not even giving them a chance to reorganize after his attack, jumped high into the sky so he could overlook the whole battlefield. Most of the trees had been cleared out due to Naruto's cyclone, so it was mostly a flat plain. There were, however, some small hills, and behind one of those hills Naruto could see the little shadow master of Konoha. Naruto could see him clearly in the air, but from his position on the ground he would have never spotted him. Naruto reached into his pockets and pulled out 2 handfuls of pebbles, and he made it rain. Shikamaru looked up to see a hail of rocks coming at him. They were moving far too fast and had too much coverage for Shikamaru to be able to dodge. So all Shikamaru could do was wait as the rocks got closer and closer. Right when they about to hit him, a wood branch suddenly grew out of the ground beneath him and rose above him to protect him. The rocks hit the wood, splintering it, but not even coming close to punching though. Looks like he pulled through, Shikamaru said. But I don't think Naruto's going to let a little wood stop him, better get back to the main group. Shikamaru ran back to join the rest of the force who were currently engaged in fighting Hayden. Since they knew that Hayden couldn't be killed, they were aiming for his legs and arms, trying to cut them off. It was all part of Shikamaru's plan. He had wanted Hayden and Naruto to split up, and it had worked better than he could have hoped. Naruto was in the air and Hayden was fighting the entire squad. Shikamaru wanted to demobilize Hayden before Naruto got back. The reason they didn't do this when they first got Hayden was because not only would there have been no way to force Naruto to use his powers, but he was also likely to have figured out what they were trying to do. Not like Hayden was a pushover either, as he was holding his own against the entire squad. Although have multiple injuries, he wasn't showing the slightest sign of fatigue. He had even gotten a few hits in, but since they weren't giving him any time to make his seal, they weren't being killed off. Shikamaru tried to help out by recapturing him and Ishio, but it was difficult since Hayden was now aware of the shadows, and the cracks in the ground were making it more difficult to move the shadow. As he was trying to do this, he heard a crash. Naruto had landed where Shikamaru had been hiding a little bit ago, and he would be rejoining the battle in second. "We've got to do this now," Shikamaru yelled. "Hi," the rest of the group shouted back just as Haiden made his first kill by skewering a poor Chunin through the neck. This was actually a good thing, as it kept Haiden distracted long enough for Ino to use her mind transfer jutsu. Haiden didn't even know the jutsu was coming. With his body not under his control, he stood completely still as wood branches wrapped around his body, holding him in place. Ino cancelled the jutsu and the kunais went flying towards Haiden's arms and legs. At the same time, a blur flew past the ninja squad towards Haiden as well. Haiden's arms were sliced off expertly, but that blur had reflected the kunais that were aimed at Haiden's legs back at them. "That was a close one. You were almost put out of commission," Naruto said to Haiden. "Shut the fuck up like you helped. My fucking arms are on the ground. How am I supposed to fucking fight?" Haiden yelled. "Just be quiet," Naruto said, breaking the wood that was trapping Haiden's body. "Just go draw your seal. I'll take care of them." Haiden looked pissed, but he went off to draw his seal, grumbling all the way. "If you think we're going to let him do that, then the rumors must be true. You're insane," a random ninja said right before Naruto shoot right in front of him. "Then try to stop him," Naruto said, putting his hand on the ninja's chest and reversing his blood flow. Right as the ninja's body fell to the ground, Naruto noticed a large cloud of smoke had formed around him. Then it burst into flames. "You'll have to do better than that, Asuma," Naruto yelled, jumping from the fire. Asuma rolled out of the way just as Naruto landed, his hand right where Asuma's head just was. "Everyone focus your fire on Haiden. I'll deal with Naruto," Asuma said, taking out his trench knife. "But sensei, there's no way you can beat him," Ino said. "Listen to me, I know he's dangerous, but if Haiden completes that seal, then we're going to be in a lot more trouble than we are in right now," Asuma said. "But he doesn't have any arms, it's not like he can hurt himself," Choji said, trying to reason with Asuma. "It doesn't matter if Naruto wants that seal done, then he must have a plan, so just do it," Asuma said. "Hi," the group said in a less than happy manner. "Wait, an inspiring speech," Naruto said, beaming with confidence. "We're getting our asses kicked, but if you don't stop Haiden, we'll get our asses kicked even more." Naruto broke out in laughter. "That's all you could come up with?" "We'll beat you," Asuma said, tightening his grip. Naruto suddenly stopped laughing. "You can't believe that." "We do," Asuma growled. "Then my father must be even crazier than I thought," Naruto said. "I'm sure you do believe that your little genius can figure out a way to beat me, since he did find a way, pasted my reflection in truth as I believe it too, but that's the problem. I believe he's a threat, he even proved it again today. He's the only one to have pushed me, made me think I might lose. That's why I'm not going to let him live," Naruto said, looking at Asuma with the most dangerous look he had ever seen. "I won't let you hurt him," Asuma said, running at Naruto. Now, don't get so aggressive," Naruto said, holding out his arm. "It might make you do something you'd regret." Naruto shoot a cyclone at high speeds towards Asuma. Asuma had no hope of dodging since he was already running at Naruto and couldn't change his direction that fast. It hit him dead on, smashing him into the ground, breaking bones and cutting up skin. "Come on now, are you really that weak?" Naruto said, walking up to the downed Asuma, only to see him disappear into a cloud of smoke. "Clones are such a pain in the ass," Naruto said, turning around to see the real Asuma standing between him and Haiden. Haiden was about halfway done with his seal, even though he was being pelted by all sorts of attacks, but as long as he kept dodging and avoided getting his legs cut off, they'd be fine. However, Naruto felt that just that would happen if he didn't take out whoever was able to use the wood jutsu. After all, didn't want Haiden to become trapped again. Naruto taped his feet the ground and started hovering. "I need to get to Haiden, so no more clones," Naruto said as he rushed Asuma. All Asuma could do was dodge Naruto's hands. Blocking or even fighting back would be useless, but Asuma had to do something because he was getting pushed back towards Haiden. "Stop moving," Naruto said as he just missed Asuma again. They were getting closer and closer to Haiden, who was almost done with his seal. Asuma was beginning to panic, but he saw something that gave him hope. Yamato was doing hand signs. Asuma knew he was going to try and trap Haiden again, and since Haiden couldn't move too far from his seal, it was likely to work. All he had to do was keep Naruto distracted for a little longer. Then came pain. More pain than Asuma had ever felt before. He looked down to see that Naruto had his hand inside his chest. "You leaf ninja must think everything will work out in the end, don't you?" Naruto said, pushing his hand farther into Asuma's chest, causing him even more pain. "You see a small glimmer of hope and you think it's going to be okay, we've got this, and you let your guard down. Well, I've got news for you." Naruto shoot a cyclone at Yamato, who dodged it, but it interrupted his jutsu. "Just because you believe you can beat me by sending ninja after ninja, doesn't mean you will," Naruto yelled, pushing his entire arm into Asuma's chest until it came out the other side. "If you want to beat me, send something besides Chunin and Jounin." Naruto ripped his arm out of Asuma, letting his body fall to the ground. Satisfied with his work, Naruto turned to see that Haiden was almost done with his seal, but it looked like one of the ninja had gotten desperate and rushed Haiden with a tanto. Naruto moved fast as he dazed in front of the ninja. The ninja, not expecting him, swung his tanto on instinct. The tanto broke upon hitting Naruto's reflection. Not even a moment later, Naruto sent a rock through his heart. Naruto turned to look at the remaining ninjas. By the looks on their faces, Naruto could guess they already knew how much trouble they were in. They probably thought things couldn't get any worse, but they were about to, because Haiden had completed the seal. Shikamaru was horrified to see Naruto rejoin the battle so soon. It could only mean one thing: Asuma was dead. Naruto had killed the man that Shikamaru respected so greatly in the blink of an eye. How long were they fighting? 30 seconds, a minute at the most. Shikamaru watched as Naruto moved to collect Haiden's scythe and then moved back to Haiden. The scythe still had the blood of some of the ninja Haiden had hit on it, and that was all Haiden needed. He licked the blade and Naruto threw a rock through his heart. A ninja next to Choji fell over dead. Haiden licked it again, Naruto threw another rock and another ninja fell over dead. The ninja who had gotten hit started to panic. They tried to run away, but it didn't matter. In no time at all, the entire squad was reduced down to 4 members. "We need to retreat," Yamato said. Shikamaru knew that Yamato was right. At this point, there was no way they could hope to beat Naruto. Hell, they probably had no hope of winning going into this fight, but Shikamaru just couldn't run away. If he did, then all this would be for nothing. If they were going to run away, then they at least had to bring something back, some way to beat Naruto, some weakness. Shikamaru went through everything he knew about Naruto. There had to be something he missed. Naruto's has the power to control vectors. This gives him an absolute defense and a powerful offense. His defense is a thin layer of chakra that reflects everything that comes into contact with it. The only way to get past it is pull back at the last moment or have Naruto run into it. Both these things are extremely hard to pull off. His attacks consist of causing earthquakes, cyclones, throwing rock and a rubber ball at high speeds, and the ability to reverse blood flow, allowing him to kill anyone with just a touch. These attacks gave him a wide range of options, from very short range all the way to extremely long range. On paper, it seems like Naruto is an unstoppable ninja, but everyone has something that can be exploited. Shikamaru thought about it over and over again: defense, offense, power. There must be something. Shikamaru's eyes widened in realization. Could it really be that simple? He turned to look at Ino. "Ino, I think I know what is weak." Shikamaru would never get to finish his sentence as a pebble went through his neck, stopping him from talking. Shikamaru fell to his knees, holding his neck hopelessly, trying to stop the bleeding. "Shikamaru!" Ino screamed, getting down on her knees. "Sorry about that," Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head. "He just seemed like he was spacing out, so I thought he could use a little something to bring him back." "You bastard!" Ino yelled, about ready to beat the smirk right off Naruto's face, but Shikamaru stopped her. Ino could tell he wanted to say something desperately, but with a hole in his throat that wasn't going to happen. Instead, he took out a piece of paper and wrote a couple words before handing it to Ino. Ino knew exactly what Shikamaru wanted her to do. "I'm not leaving without you," she yelled, but the look in Shikamaru's eyes told her that whatever was written in that note was worth the sacrifice, so with a heavy heart and tears in her eyes she ran with Choji and Yamato following her. Shikamaru smiled as he saw Ino run out of sight. He truly believed that his note would get back to the leaf and everything would be okay. That was the last thing Shikamaru thought of, because Naruto stomped on the back of his head, turning it into a pile of meat. "You won't get away," Naruto said, speeding off towards them. Naruto, pushing off the ground, was able to get way faster, but Yamato kept putting up wood pillars to block him. Naruto could easily break through these, but it did cut down on his speed. It wasn't long, however, when Naruto got them in his sight. Ino could see Naruto behind her and he was only getting closer. "We'll never outrun him," Ino said. "Then I'll stop him," Choji said, angrier than Ino had ever heard him, even when someone called him fat. "Choji, you can't, he'll kill you," Ino said. "He killed my best friend and my sensei. He won't get away with it," Choji yelled, going into his human bullet tank. "Choji, stop!" Ino screamed, but it was too late. Choji was already rolling as fast as he could towards Naruto. Naruto didn't even react. He let Choji hit him at his top speed, but all that happened was Choji was sent flying back. The force of hitting Naruto's reflection had snapped his neck. "Choji!" Ino yelled as she watched her dead friend roll on the ground until his bloody body finally stopped. Ino let a few tears run down her face. Not only was her entire team dead, but Choji hadn't even delayed Naruto in the slightest. "Why you running? I thought you came here to kill me. So fight like it," Naruto said. Ino and Yamato didn't respond. Ino because she was trying to save her energy, and Yamato because he was too busy making wood pillars. "Fine, then have it your way," Naruto said as 4 cyclones emerged from his back. Then Naruto flew up into the air. Ino and Yamato were terrified to see Naruto flying so fast that he was in front of Yamato in an instant. "Those pillars not so good when your opponent can fly," Naruto said, bringing his hand around to grab Yamato's face. Yamato tried to make somewhat more to stop him, but Naruto tore right through it. Yamato was done for the moment Naruto made contact with his skin. Ino made a sharp right to get away from Naruto, but a pebble through her knee stopped any hope she had of running away. Naruto looked down on Ino as she pathetically tried to crawl away, leaving a trail of blood as the blood poured from her wound. It took only a few steps from Naruto to catch up with her. He grabbed her by her ponytail, earning a pained scream. "Why don't you just give up? Live your last moments of life in peace," Naruto said. "Screw you. I'm going to make it back to the leaf with or without a leg," Ino screamed, still trying to get out of Naruto's hold. There was a brief moment where the only sound was Ino moving dirt around before Naruto burst into the most high-pitched laugh Ino had ever heard. He even let go of her ponytail. Ino didn't let this moment go to waste as she crawled away from Naruto. "Make it back to the leaf. Why don't you have a look around? Then you might realize that it was impossible the moment you started running," Naruto said, only now getting his laugh to calm down. Everything in Ino's body told her not to, but her mind won out. She took a good look at her surroundings, and what she saw killed any hope of escape. There weren't any trees, yet she was in the middle of a forest. The huge cyclone attack that Naruto had done at the beginning of the fight had knocked down all the trees in a certain radius of him, and Ino wasn't even out of that. Get all the way to the leaf, forget about that. Naruto had managed to kill all of them before they got out of the original battle site. "Now do you see?" Naruto said. "You can never get back to the leaf. The entire run to freedom you and your friends had lasted a minute." Naruto pointed to the corpses of Yamato and Choji. "But don't worry, it will all be over soon." Naruto covered Ino's face with her hand. All she could see was blackness and knew that she was going to die. "I'm sorry, Shikamaru," Ino said. Naruto let Ino's body drop. Maybe this valley of corpses would finally make Minato see that Naruto wasn't going to be done in by ordinary ninjas. Naruto was about to walk back and meet up with Haiden, but he remembered that Shikamaru had handed Ino something. He walked back to Ino's body and found a piece of paper clutched in her hand. Naruto had to pry his fingers to get it. The paper was covered in blood, but it was still legible. At first Naruto didn't see why Shikamaru had lost his life for these few words, but the more he looked at it the more he thought about and his eyes widened in panic. Shikamaru had discovered yet another weakness Naruto didn't know he had, but this weakness wasn't like any other of his weaknesses, like a pulled punch or not being able to reflected vectors he didn't know. This was an inherited problem with his ability that couldn't be fixed. It was right then that Naruto realized just what had happened. This weakness wasn't something that was a mistake on Naruto's part. It was something Orochimaru had done on purpose. This was why he never sent his ninja after Naruto when he escaped, or why he had acted too confident when he had ordered Naruto to help him invaded the leaf. He's had a one-up on him all this time, but it wasn't exclusive to Orochimaru. Anyone could use it if they knew how. "Damn you, Orochimaru!" Naruto growled, shredding the paper into million pieces, so it could never be salvaged. Naruto made his way back to Haiden, thinking of a way to kill Orochimaru and bury that information forever. The Konoha council room was dead quiet. It had been a few days since Asuma's team had been due to return from their mission. They could still be alive. Minato said. "Oh, bite me, Minato," a council member said. "We know they're dead, you know they're dead. Hell, the whole village knows that they're dead, and do you know who killed them? Your son." "You don't know that," Minato yelled. "How many ninja have died doing recon missions into Naruto? 50, 60, 100. It's time to face facts, Minato. Your son is never, and I mean never, aligning with the leaf. It's time to stop sending ninja to their death just because you feel guilty. I'm sure if I talked to him then he would understand," Minato said. "The time for that has long since passed," Danzo said angrily, which wasn't so rare for him recently. In fact, a lot of people had noticed that Danzo seemed to be way more agitated recently. "I have already sent someone. Not to research Naruto like you've been doing. No, this time the ninja's been ordered to deal with Naruto." "You can't do that without my permission," Minato yelled, standing up. "I can with the council's permission," Danzo said. "And when did they give you permission?" "We called a meeting a day after Asuma and his team were supposed to return. We didn't call you because we felt you were unfit to make such an important decision," Danzo said. "You think I'm unfit?" Minato said, slamming his fist on the table. "Yes, I and quite a few other people do," Danzo said. Minato, seeing that Danzo wasn't lying, tried to calm himself and returned to an acceptable manner. "You sent a ninja? Who do you believe has an ability to beat Accelerator? Unlike you, I didn't settle for regular Ambu. I sent someone that is actually on Naruto's level," Danzo said, the hint of a smile on his face. While the meeting was going on, a ninja arrived at the place where Naruto and Haiden had massacred a Konoha squad not even a week earlier. He examined the bodies and confirmed they were the work of the duo. "I'm getting closer," the figure said, dashing off in the direction he knew they went off, and his red eyes lighting up the night. They were close, really close. 2, maybe 3 hours from Taki. Naruto couldn't wait. After this he could relax, only having to participate in the sealing ritual. At least as long as every other team held up their end of the deal. Haiden was also excited to get back into action now that his arms were reattached thanks to a doctor Naruto had found. Everything was looking good. There hadn't been any Konoha ninja attacking, although Kirk ninja were becoming more common the closer they got to Taki, but they were easily dealt with. "Hey Naruto, we need to stop," Haiden said. "We are not stopping so you can waste our time with your stupid ritual," Naruto yelled. They aren't stupid, and besides I wasn't talking about that. I need to go take a piss. Hayden said. Fine, Naruto said as Hayden walked off the road to go find a bush. Naruto was getting really fed up with Hayden. His rituals have put them back more than a day. Not to mention they had to go out of their way to find a doctor because Hayden couldn't defend himself. At least they wouldn't have to go on missions together after they captured the Seven Tails. Naruto took a look at the scenery waiting for Hayden to come back. They were on a dirt road that got little traffic. The sun was high in the sky and it was becoming increasingly hot. There were rabbits hopping around on the ground as crows were flying high in the sky. That was until the crows decided they were too good for the sky and came down to earth. Naruto watched as the crows conjugated at one place and formed a person that Naruto had heard a lot about. Well, if it isn't Itachi Uchiha. I thought I was done getting visits from the leaf. Did my last message not get through? Naruto said, his arms crossed and smug smirk on his face. Don't worry, we got it, and that's why they sent me. Itachi said, and before Naruto could even wipe the smug look off his face, Itachi did a series of hand signs. A huge fireball way bigger than Naruto had ever seen before was coming for him. Of course, all Naruto had to do was put his hand out and the fireball was sent right back. Itachi knew this, and by the time the fireball had gone back to sender, he was long gone. Naruto had no idea where Itachi was as the fireball and obstructed his vision. What the hell is going on? Hayden yelled, returning to the road. Trouble, Naruto said right as a crow flew right in front of him, blocking his line of sight yet again. When the crow passed, Itachi was suddenly standing directly in front of Naruto. Naruto stopped himself from looking into Itachi's eyes and taped the ground with his foot, sending rocks and other debris at Itachi. Itachi didn't even flinch as he blocked every piece. Itachi then jumped over Hayden's side as Hayden tried to cut his stomach open. Naruto sent a cyclone Itachi's way, hoping that since Itachi was in the air he wouldn't be able to dodge, but Itachi used an equally powerful winjutsu, canceling them both out. Returning to the ground, Itachi launched hundreds of flaming shurikens. Hayden blocked them with his scythe while Naruto reflected them. We're getting nowhere, Hayden said. All we have to do is spill a little bit of his blood, then it will be over, Naruto said, rushing Itachi. Naruto did the same thing he did with Asuma, continuously attack until his opponent made a mistake and got touched. Itachi wasn't like Asuma, though he was able to dodge every one of Naruto's strikes with ease. Naruto got frustrated and started hovering, making his attacks even faster. Itachi wasn't even affected by the change of speed. Naruto still couldn't land. Come on, fight me, Naruto said. I am, Itachi said as he continued to dodge. This only served to piss Naruto off. Hayden, help me out over here. Hayden came to Naruto's aid, swinging his scythe wildly, trying to hit Itachi, but it still wasn't enough. He would dodge Naruto's attacks and blocked Hayden's with a kunai. Why don't you just fucking die? Hayden yelled. Itachi didn't say anything and the fight went on. Neither side made any progress. Itachi couldn't hit them, nor could they hit Itachi. It was a stalemate with not sign of breaking until Hayden actually cut Itachi's cheek. Whiter it was because Itachi had become too tried to properly dodge, or if Hayden had just gotten lucky, Naruto did not know, but now they had a little bit of his blood. Hayden backed off to make the seal as Naruto kept attacking Itachi to keep him occupied, but Itachi never even made an attempt to stop Hayden. Naruto found this very odd. Did Itachi just not know about Hayden's powers? Naruto found that hard to believe, but they had the blood, so Itachi would die if he didn't stop Hayden, so what was he planning? Hayden finished the seal and stabbed himself in the heat. Itachi coughed up some blood before falling over dead. This is the best the leaf can do? Naruto said, kicking Itachi's head to make sure he was actually dead. What a pushover. Sure, he could dodge, but he didn't even try to stop himself from getting killed, Hayden said, walking up to Naruto. Naruto couldn't believe that the person who managed to take out most of the Uchiha clan had gone down so easily, but there he was, dead in the street. Let's just go, Naruto said, turning back towards the road. Naruto knew something was off about Itachi's death, but he was still surprised when he turned and saw Itachi standing a little down the road perfectly fine. Naruto's eyes darted back to Itachi's corpse, which was still there. Naruto knew they'd been had. Itachi had casted genjutsu, but when? Naruto guessed it didn't matter. He should have realized it was a genjutsu when Itachi went down so easily. Naruto disrupted the genjutsu and the body disappeared. The body wasn't the only thing that had a genjutsu on it. Itachi's eyes were different. They weren't the regular Sharingan. Naruto didn't have time to think about it as a black fire appeared between him and Haiden. Naruto had never seen a fire like that before, and since he could feel the heat, he knew it was different enough that his reflection wouldn't work. Naruto leaped to the side, but not quick enough, as the fire expanded too fast and set Naruto's right arm ablaze. Naruto stopped himself from screaming in pain as the fire burned through his cloak. Haiden had tried to block the fire, but it was a failed attempt. Haiden's whole body was lit up in a black blaze. Naruto had to think fast or he'd be burned alive. Even if it was different enough to get past his reflection, it was still fire, so cutting off the oxygen should put it out. Naruto reflected all the oxygen away from his arm, but to his horror the fire didn't go out. What the hell is this? Haiden yelled, the fire now burning so deep into his skin that it would have killed any normal person. Naruto had to do something about this fire before he ended up like Haiden. It took Naruto only a few seconds to come up with an idea, but he really didn't want to go through with it, but seeing as the fire was almost to his shoulder, he really didn't have a choice. Naruto closed his eyes and focused on the sections of his arm that was on fire. Once he could tell where each section was, he repelled the skin off his arm. Naruto couldn't hold back his scream as his skin was ripped from his body, but at least the fire went with it. It looked like someone had taken a cheese grater to Naruto's arm. Naruto redirected his blood so it would stay in his body and not spill out of his arm. It didn't do anything to help the pain, but at least he wouldn't bleed out. Naruto looked towards Haiden to see what had happened to him. It wasn't good. The fire had devoured Haiden's entire body. All that was left was his ring, scythe, and a few pieces of bone. Even if Haiden's was immortal, he wouldn't be able to do much as a pile of ashes, so for all intent and purpose Haiden was dead. "I am impressed you managed to stop yourself from getting burned alive," Itachi said, sounding actually kind of frustrated his plan didn't work. Naruto noticed how one of Itachi's eyes was bleeding. At least now Naruto knew that using that strange fire was damaging to Itachi as well, but that didn't change the fact that Naruto still had no idea what the equation for that fire not fire could be. Unfortunately for Naruto, he was still in the middle of a fight, and just because that attack hurt Itachi as well didn't seem to stop him from using it. Naruto rolled out of the way as black fire once again appeared where he had been standing. Even if the fire didn't hit Naruto, it didn't mean he was fine. Naruto found out that any sudden movement caused his arm to burn with pain, and rolling certainly didn't feel very good. It looked like he would have to end this quickly. Naruto hit the ground and the world shook. The road that they had been standing on was no more as the ground split in half. Itachi, having suddenly lost his footing, fell down into the chasm while Naruto used his cyclones to fly above it. Naruto scanned the chasm, refusing to believe that this would be the end of Itachi, and he was right. He saw Itachi running up the side of the chasm. Naruto took out all the pebbles he had on him and pelted Itachi with them, but Itachi was able to dodge them all. He climbed out of the chasm and immediately black fire appeared near Naruto. It got caught up in one of his cyclones, create a vortex of fire. Naruto had no choice but to stop that cyclone or risk ending up like Haiden. Stopping that cyclone had screwed up Naruto's flying ability, and he didn't have time to make a new one before crashing to the ground. Naruto held his arm painfully as the impact nearly made him black out. Naruto got back up to his feet, shaking quite a bit. Itachi was just looking at him with a blank expression. One of his eyes were closed and bleeding pretty badly now. It looked like he wouldn't be able to use that pesky fire anymore. "Give up," Itachi said. "What?" Naruto replied. "This is a hopeless fight. You can barely stand and I haven't been hit once. Just give up. I'm sure the Hokage will make you some sort of deal," Itachi said. Naruto grinded his teeth. "You think you have me against a wall? That I'm down and out? You're just saying that because without that fire of yours you can't hit me. No, even without my fire I still have something that can beat you, but I rather not use it. Itachi stated. Stop screwing with me. Naruto yelled, sending his 3 remaining cyclones at Itachi. Naruto staggered a little bit as that attack had made the pain in his arm flare a little too much, and yet, Itachi still dodged all the cyclones, only having the use of one eye apparently not affecting him at all. Naruto was panting heavily at this point. Never before had he been forced to push his body so hard, and it was all that bastard's fault. Who did he think he was to come up to Orochimaru's most powerful creation and fight him on the same level? No, he wasn't on the same level, he was trash just like the rest of them. He was just another ninja trying to prove that he's the strongest, but he's not, and Naruto would prove that. Naruto let out a monstrous yell full of hate and rage. He held his arm up to the sky like he was trying to grab heaven. The wind changed from a cool breeze to a whiplash of air. It circled around Naruto's hand in a spiral pattern. It kept compressing in Naruto's hand until it became a blue bubbly sphere. Then the wind surrounded it in a grayish transparent cover. Itachi realized how much it looked like a gray Rasengan with a blue core, but this was on a whole different level. Just the creation of it made the floor beneath Naruto shatter. Are you scared yet? Naruto yelled, bringing the object to his side. Are you trembling in fear having to face the greatest power in the universe? I would be, because it's not every day that someone creates plasma to use as a weapon. This is what you get when you try and take the king's crown. You're insane, Itachi said. It doesn't matter what I am. If I have the power to destroy you. Naruto shouted, creating 2 cyclones and shooting himself towards Itachi. Even though the plasma wasn't anywhere close to the ground, it was tearing it to pieces as Naruto ran over it. Itachi jumped into the air to avoid it, but Naruto created 2 more cyclones, giving him the lift he needed to hit Itachi, if only barely. The plasma clipped Itachi's leg, but even that was severely damaging. Itachi felt his bones break, his leg twist, his blood vessels exploding as Naruto flew past him. Naruto swooped down and grabbed Hiden's scythe and ring, the plasma now gone, before flying away. Itachi wanted to chase after him, but one look at his mangled leg told Itachi that trying to catch up to him would be like a rock trying to catch a cheetah, so Itachi watched Naruto fly off, wondering what was gonging through the self-proclaimed strongest ninja's mind. Naruto didn't make it very far, only far enough where he thought Itachi wouldn't be able to chase him. He landed, stumbled a few steps, and then fell on the ground, having no intention of getting up anytime soon. Running away after giving that whole speech about how he was the strongest certainly was humiliating. Well, Naruto guessed it couldn't be helped. Naruto didn't have huge chakra reserves, and since a good chunk of it was dedicated to his reflection, he actually had lower than average chakra. It had never really been a problem before, since most of his moves didn't use that much chakra. Flying and creating plasma were the only 2 moves that required a lot of chakra, and he had always won in a few moves, but if that fight had lasted any longer he would have risked using the chakra dedicated to his reflection. Why did he do that spill on how he was the strongest? He had never claimed to be the strongest before, so why had he partially yelled it to Itachi? Naruto guessed he had always believed he was the strongest. After all, Orochimaru had always told him he was, and after escaping he had done things at an age where he shouldn't have even been out of the academy that an Umbu would have a hard time doing. Maybe it was just because in Naruto's mind him being the strongest had always just been a fact, like his very existence was all the proof he needed, but Itachi had shaken that proof. It had been the first time Naruto had faced a prodigy like himself, and it shook him. Maybe he could be beaten. Sure, there had been incidents before like Shikamaru and Lee, but those had always been tricks that the weak would use to beat the strong, nothing that Naruto wouldn't be able to handle a second time. Itachi was different. He had killed Hiden with little effort. He had injured Naruto to the point where he couldn't even stand. He had won. With those thoughts in his mind, Naruto could no longer take the pain in his arm and fell into an uneasy sleep. The Rookie 9, or now the Rookie 6, were sitting around one of the training fields. So your brother has been tasked with taking care of Naruto? Shino asked. Yes, he told me right before he left. Sasuke said. I hope he brings Naruto's head back on a stick. Kiba said. Kiba. Hinata said, not believing that Kiba would say something like that in front of Minama and Naruko. We can't keep defending him. Kiba said, then turned to Naruko and Minama. Listen, I know we promised to help you bring him back, but he's killed our friends. He's a monster. You two pretend not to hear the rumors because you think he's a good person, but I think those rumors are. And just what rumors would those be? Minama said, looking angry but in reality about ready to cry. That Naruto is a psychopath trained by Orochimaru to kill everyone and everything, and that he trained Yuri and Hinata's sister to be bloodthirsty killers. That he's only part of the Akatsuki to test his skills against jinchuriki. That he destroys entire villages just because he can. Those are all just rumors spread by other villages to make them think that Naruto's some sort of demon child. Naruko said. He is a demon child. Kiba yelled, his voice echoing in the surrounding woods, and he immediately knew he had gone too far. So what does that make me? Naruko yelled, storming off. Naruko, wait. Minama said, chasing off after her. Naruko walked all the way home without saying a word to Minama, despite how hard Minama tried to get here to talk. She slammed open the door to her house, disrupting Kushina. Naruko, what the hell do you think you're doing? She yelled. Kazan, is Naruto so evil that we have to kill him? Naruko asked. Kushina stopped whatever she was going to say and looked at Naruko with penetrating eyes. Minama was equally as shocked and didn't know what to say, but it was obvious that Naruko wasn't bugging without an answer. Kushina sighed. I don't know, even though he's my son, I don't know anything more about him than you do. If the rumors are to be believed, then it would seem like Naruto's a lost cause hell-bent of destruction, and we know that he's killed lots of our own ninjas, including some of your friends. Naruko deflated with every word. It seemed that Naruto really was the devil in disguise. But even if I don't know anything about Naruto, I know lots about Mito. Kushina said with a smile on her face. I know that no matter how much she may hate us or how desperate she was to find Naruto, she would never follow him if he was completely evil. Even if you think that. Not everyone is so inclined to dismiss what Naruto has done. Jiraiya said, entering the house through the window. What have I told you about using the door? Kushina yelled. Don't be so uptight about it. Jiraiya said, waving it off. What are you doing here? Naruko asked. I'm here because Minato and I have been talking and we think we've figured out a way to add a Churka nature to the Rasengan. Jiraiya said. That's great. Naruko said. Yeah, it is. Why don't you two go to the usually training field? Minto's already waiting. Jiraiya said. The girls ran off to the training field, already having forgotten about their bad mood. Jiraiya chuckled as they left. Such kids. I wouldn't be so sure. They may not seem like it, but learning the next stage of the Rasengan is another way to get closer to Naruto. Kushina said with motherly affection before switching to a more serious mood. Anyways, you didn't come here just for that. Itachi sent a crow. What happened? Kushina asked. Nothing good. Heiden's dead, but Naruto got away and Itachi's leg was nearly separated from his body, so he won't be back for a little while he gets it healed. Jiraiya said. At least Heiden's dead. Kushina said. About that, in his report, Itachi mentioned how Naruto went on about how he was the strongest ninja in the world, and from Itachi's retelling of the battle that might not be so far from the truth. Jiraiya said. Don't you think you're being a little dramatic? I mean, sure, Naruto's powerful, but he's not the best. Kushina said. You want to know how Itachi got so heavily injured? Jiraiya said with an aura of dread and seriousness around him. So much so that Kushina wasn't sure she wanted to hear. What happened? Apparently Naruto created plasma, and as Itachi described it, it was the ultimate Rasengan. Even with the girls learning an enhanced version of the Rasengan, they still won't be any closer to Naruto. There has to be something we can do? Kushina pleaded. I don't know, we'll have to see how powerful the enhanced Rasengan is. Jiraiya said. Until then, Naruto is still an icon of hate to a lot of people, and it's even starting to affect our own village. I know he has some good in him, Kushina said. Jiraiya sighed. Maybe it was Kushina who was acting like a kid. Naruto awoke to a giant plant. At first Naruto thought he had gone crazy, but then the plant started talking and Naruto realized everything was fine, as weird as that might seem. It's about time you got up, Itachi really handed it to you, Zetsu said. How long was I out? Naruto asked, getting up, still feeling pain in his arm, but now it was bearable. About 12 hours, but it's going to be an eternity for Hayden. Forget about Hayden, I won't shed any tears for him and I doubt the girls will either, Naruto said, taking off his damaged Akatsuki cloak to inspect his arm. There were chunks of missing skin all along his arm, you could see right to the muscles. Naruto would have surely bled out in no time if it wasn't for his powers. Did you have anything for this? Zetsu tossed him some bandages and a new cloak. Naruto started wrapping his arm as Zetsu went on. You'll need a new partner, Deidara still available. I'm not waiting around for someone, I'll just get the 7 tails in my own. Besides, Deidara already captured his jinchuriki, so there's no reason for him to become active again, Naruto said. Unlike you, Deidara doesn't like to sit around and do nothing, he's more than willing to take on another jinchuriki, Zetsu said. Well, good for him, Naruto said as he finished taping up his arm. But I'll be fine on my own. Naruto put on his cloak and went to grab Hayden's scythe. Hayden's ring was gone, probably already snatched up by Zetsu. By the way, give this to Hitomi. Tell her it was a gift from our dear friend. Zetsu took the scythe as Naruto sped off. You'll still be getting a new partner even if you capture the 7 tails on your own, Zetsu said, but was not greeted with a response. Do you think he can do it on his own? He's still injured. Injured or not, he'll win, but in the meantime we still have work to do, we're closing in and a package to deliver. It took Naruto maybe 2 hours to reach his destination. He stopped in the tree line planning his strategy. He knew that the only way to enter Taki was through a under cave system, and it was guarded like no one's business. Naruto counted 8 Kirk ninja, probably Jounin, and 4 Taki ninja. Looks like they really didn't want anyone to get in. The best plan would be for Naruto to wait it out and find the 7 tails without being caught, but Naruto didn't have the skill to sneak past such a force, and more importantly Naruto didn't like to wait. Naruto simply walked up to the ninja Akatsuki cloak fluttering behind him. I'm here for the 7 tails, would you mind telling me where she is? Naruto asked in his nicest tone. It's the Akatsuki, one of the guards shouted before the whole lot ran towards Naruto. Come, there's no reason for having to start a fight, Naruto said as he punched a Kirk ninja who got just a little too close. His nose burst with blood as he fell to the ground, hurt but not dead. But if that's what you really want, then I'll be more than happy to oblige. The last ninja fell as the fight reached its 3-minute mark. Naruto was sure the earthquake he had created to wipe out most of the guards had alerted the village, so he would have to move fast. He traversed the caves and was greeted with a welcoming squad when he entered the village through the lake. Did they send the entire village? Naruto asked as he stared down at least 100 enemy ninja. Naruto didn't get a vocal response, but he certainly got one. Almost every ninja in the crowd shot high-pressured water from their mouths. You'll have to do better than that, Naruto said as the wave of water was sent back to sender. Most of the ninja were able to dodge, but some of the slower ones weren't so lucky and got crushed by the huge amount of water. The other ninja were quick to strike back and sent every attack in the book at him. These, however, were small attacks, so even when they were reflected they could be easily dodged. Naruto didn't want or have the time to deal with all of them, so he got to dry land and started running around the village, still being pelted by all sorts of attacks. Come out wherever you all, my little jinchuriki. I've got a treat for you, Naruto sung as he ran down street after street. As Naruto ran, civilians ran like hell trying to get back into their homes, even though Naruto wasn't even attacking. But even so, houses were being set on fire, knocked down and destroyed as attack after attack kept bouncing off Naruto. The ninja that had sworn to protect the village were NWT the cause of all the destruction. Of course they didn't see it that way, they only saw an enemy that had to be taken out. All the damage was just necessary sacrifices. What a stupid ideology. Naruto had only come here for one person and he would have been on his way, but the death toll and damages would be far more hurtful to Taki than losing their jinchuriki. Of course they were still going to lose it. Naruto ran for a while not really knowing what to do. They obviously had hidden her somewhere, and with all the chaos happening in the village he doubted that he would be able to find her. Naruto suddenly stopped to try and think of a plan, and one of the ninja chasing him ran into him, snapping his neck. The kunais and jutsu still rained down on Naruto because these idiots didn't seem to understand that the quantity of attacks didn't mean anything to Naruto. All the nearby houses were completely pulverized by the backlash of all the attacks. People ran from their homes most bloody and some having kunais embedded in their bodies. A mother holding a crying child came out, her face streaked with blood and a rather large burn on her arm, ran out onto the street. "Stop this, can't you see what you're doing?" she screamed as the child wailed. Her cries fell on deaf ears as the ninja paid her no mind and continued their assault. Naruto could tell what was going to happen a mile away, and a few seconds later it did. One of the ninja threw a kunai no different from any of the other that had been shoot, but this one was positioned in just the right place to cause a very bloody accident. It hit Naruto's reflection and was shot toward the woman. Her civilian reflexes were not enough to dodge it, but to Naruto's surprise she didn't get hit. Instead, a girl with green hair and wearing rather revealing clothing pushed the woman out of the way, and managed to dodge the kunai herself. This display actually stopped the ninja from attacking. "What the hell are you doing, you here?" one of the ninja yelled. "I wanted to help, not sit in room while my village was being destroyed," the girl said. Naruto instantly reconsidered the girl. She was Fu, his target. "What do you know, the Seven Tails has a heart?" Naruto thought as he looked at the woman Fu had just saved, but the woman didn't have the thankful look a person in her position should have had. Far from it, she looked at Fu with absolute disgust, like she would have rather been saved by a toad than by her. Then without saying a word she ran away. "We don't need your help. We had it under control until you showed up. Just go back to your cell and let the real ninja deal with it," the same ninja yelled as the others were nodding behind him. "But she would have died if I hadn't been her," Fu said, pointing to the woman she had just saved, only to see that the woman was no longer there. The ninja, looking rather full of himself, looked down at Fu with a sneer. "I don't see any woman. You are obviously just trying to escape, you bitch. We'll have to punish you after we handle this." "Hey," Naruto said in a voice that sounded like a killer scolding his victim for being dead. This caught everyone's attention as they looked upon the person who had been the prime target of their attention not even a minute ago. Fu even looked back to see that Naruto was standing directly behind her, so close that she could feel his icy breath as the words left his mouth. "You people are very rude, you know. Ignoring someone who came all this, and had to endure so much hardship to get here, but you know I'm not even mad because the person I've come to see has finally greeted me." Naruto put his hand on Fu's shoulder. "Why don't you come with me?" Fu knew who the man behind her was as well. He was Naruto, the son of the fourth Hokage. Apparently he was insane. Fu wasn't so sure about that part, but she was sure that he was incredibly powerful. Just his aura told her that. "She's not going away." "Where?" one of the ninja yelled, and all of them resumed their barrage, not giving any thought to the fact that Fu was standing right in front of him. Fu, seeing that she was about to becoming a human target dummy, grew wings and flew up. Naruto watched her as the attacks bounced harmlessly off him. "Wow, didn't know she could do that," Naruto said. "But you aren't the only one," Naruto said as he formed his own flying mechanism and flew after her. Fu looked back shocked to see that Naruto was able to fly as well. Naruto was gaining on her as his cyclones were much faster than her wings. Naruto thought it was only going to be a matter of time before he captured his target, but something caught his attention. Fu was leaving being some sort of sparkling substance behind her. Naruto didn't know what that would accomplish until it blew up an array of light so bright that Naruto couldn't even see his nose in front of his face. It didn't last very long, but by the time it had ended Naruto had lost sight of Fu. Naruto couldn't believe it. Even if his reflection stopped it from blinding him, he still couldn't see past the light. So Naruto had to waste time flying around trying to find Fu, and when he did she would use the same trick again, and force Naruto to go looking for her again. This happened a lot and Naruto was getting frustrated. There was also the problem that Fu would be able to keep this up a lot longer than Naruto would. He could already feel his body telling him he was using too much chakra, and he doubted Fu had even used 1/10 of her chakra. Not to mention the idiots below were still shooting at him. Naruto once again caught sight of Fu, and just like he expected she spit out that sparkly substance. Naruto had already determined that closing his eyes didn't matter since Fu would still be able to get away while his eyes were closed, but Naruto had been watching and was pretty confident he'd be able to catch Fu even without his sight. Naruto looked down at the city below. Right below him was a nice little house that would have looked cozy, but the damage that had been done, and was still being done, made it look like a hellscape. To the left was the village's leader house and to the right were a few farmhouses. A bright light blinded Naruto's vision, but this time instead of cursing himself he swung to the right and listened for the beating of Fu's wings. Just as Naruto had planned, he heard her almost directly in front of him. He reached his hand out and caught a hold of her leg. Using his enhanced strength he swung Fu towards the ground. Fu, not being able to stabilize herself, crashed to the ground. The impact was surprising soft as Fu did manage to use her wings to slow his descent, but by this time Naruto could see and dived-bombed Fu. He landed on her stomach, making he spit up blood as his force broke the ground below her and created a crater. Naruto swung Fu over his shoulder as her wings disappeared. Naruto felt Fu struggling, and it was making his arm growl in pain. "Stop moving or I'll rip off your legs," Naruto said, and immediately Fu stopped. "How did you get me?" the green-haired girl asked, having realized that the son of the Hokage had bested her. "Whenever I went to go look for you I noticed that you would hide in less populated areas, so I bet that you'd fly towards the fields, and I was right. I guess I wanted to keep the battle away from as many people as possible," Naruto said as he started walking towards the exit. Almost immediately they were surrounded by ninja. They all looked like they were ready to kill, but it wasn't directed at Naruto. "Look what you've done," one of the higher-ranking ninjas said. "You drew the Akatsuki here to our village, you monster. Do you know how many have died all because of you?" But Fu tried to say, but the ninja weren't hearing it. "You're going to be burned for what you've done, you devil whore. All you've ever done is run this village into the ground," one of the Taki ninja said. "Get out of my way," Naruto said, walking forward. "Don't tell me what to do, you Akatsuki scum. Just because you're trying to rid of jinchuriki doesn't mean you're good." Naruto grabbed him by the throat with his free arm. "Listen here, you rat of a ninja. It's easy to blame someone else for your mistake. I mean, of course you don't want your ass held responsible for the damages, and I can understand that. But when your preaching gets in my way, then I have a problem. I've gotten what I've come here for, so move or I'll show you a real monster," Naruto said, dropping the terrified ninja. Naruto started walking forward again, giving each and every ninja a death stare. Naruto noticed that a majority of the Taki were happy that he was taking Fu away. While the Kirk ninja didn't share the same hatred for the jinchuriki, they were way too terrified to approach Naruto as they had seen him run around the entire village without taking a hit. Naruto walked down the village streets looking at the burned and damaged buildings. Civilians were gathered along the sidewalk watching Naruto pass. None of them said a word, but everyone one of them were looking at Fu like it was her fault their homes had been destroyed. After a few blocks, Fu couldn't take anymore and dropped her head, so she was looking directly into Naruto's shoulder. Naruto found this very odd, how almost none of them were looking at him with hate, even though if they wanted to blame someone for what happened it should have been him. They weren't looking at him favorably, of course they knew that he could kill every one of them, yet there was no fear in their eyes when they looked at him. It was like he was a natural disaster. Sure, they were bad and did lots of damage, but you couldn't fight them, so you just had to accept them and move on. Naruto made it to the lake that would be his exit, but there was someone else there. Shibuki, the head of Takigakure, was standing there. Fu must have sensed him because she looked up at him hopeful that he would fight to save her, but Naruto could see it in his eyes. He might be the only one in the entire village that thought of Fu as a person, but as Naruto passed him all he did was clench his fists because he knew that it was over. Naruto was too strong. Naruto exited the village with a depressed Fu over his shoulder. Naruto could tell from her slight shaking that she was crying. Naruto thought about knocking her out since the shaking was irritating to his arm, but decided not to. After all, it was a long ways to the closest hideout that had the ability to seal, and Naruto would prefer someone to talk to now that Haiden was dead. Suigetsu and the girls were sitting around eating their meal when Zetsu popped out of the ground in front of them. "Hello, we bring gifts." "Enough with your antics, we don't have any time to waste." "Oh fine Hitomi, this is for you," Zesta said, handing her a scythe. "Wait, this is Haiden's scythe," Hitomi said. "Not anymore, Haiden's dead, at least as dead as Haiden can be." "What about Naruto, is he okay?" Hanabi said, jumping to her feet. "Relax, Naruto's fine, just got his arm burned by Itachi, he should be fighting the Seven Tails right now we have to go." And just like that, Zest emerged back in the ground before anyone could ask any more questions. Hitomi looked at the scythe, thinking about the person who used to own it. True, she and Haiden weren't practically close, but Hitomi would consider him an ally, and Itachi had killed him just like he had her parents. Hitomi wanted to curse Itachi, but it won't accomplish anything. The only thing she could do was get stronger, and thanks to Haiden she had a weapon that could help her. Hitomi was about to strap it to her back, but she noticed a piece of paper wrapped around the hilt. "What's that?" Mito asked as Hitomi peeled it off. "It's a note from Naruto," Hitomi said, and Hanabi was instantly behind them reading the note with them. "Dear Bratz and Suigetsu, I have a very important mission for you, one the Akatsuki can't know about. I have recently discovered that Orochimaru has information about me that could be very dangerous to me if anyone found out. So I want you to kill him and burn anything you find. I know that he's powerful, but I believe the four of you can kill him. Besides, you won't be alone, the Akatsuki will still be helping you. After all, they have their own reasons for killing Orochimaru. But I am afraid that Orochimaru will try to use this information about me as a bargaining chip. You'll need to make sure that doesn't happen. As for finding Orochimaru, Zetsu told us when we sealed the Six Tails that he is narrowed down is located, and I happen to know that Orochimaru only has one base in the area Zetsu described, so I want you to go there, so you'll be the closet team when Zesta finds the exact location of the base, and he'll call you. However, he will defiantly call an actually Akatsuki team as well, so be wary of that." Below that was the location of where they were supposed to be. "Come on, Naruto's counting on us. We can't fail him now," Hanabi said as she started marching off. "Hold up there, fangirl. I'm finishing my meal before we go anywhere," Suigetsu said. Hitomi and Mito giggled at the Hanabi being called a fangirl. "I'm not a fangirl. And stop laughing at me," Hanabi yelled as Naruko and Minamo were training, as Naruto was walking with a lump over his shoulder as Taki was rebuilding, as Itachi was lying in a hospital bed waiting for his leg to heal, and as Minato was doing paperwork thinking the state of his family and the state it was heading towards.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.